And a very good Thursday afternoon, 12 noon on the East Coast, of course, out on the left coast, just starting out your day at 9 o'clock in the morning. So, welcome to the show. We're coming to you live right here in Charlotte, North Carolina on the I 95 Sports and Entertainment Network. Also, you can listen to us on various podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. We're on all the major podcast platforms as well. So it's Thursday afternoon, Thursday morning in some parts of the country. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for listening. And before we get started, I just want to thank everybody. Yesterday was really one of the big days. We had more listeners yesterday in one single day than we have had in a long, long time. So we're kind of, and it's the biggest one of all time, by the way. So I want to thank you very much for listening. Totally appreciate it. We really do. Like to have you listening to the show. And again, we do come from Charlotte. We are in the Eastern time zone. So whatever the time zone you're in, I hope you're kind of getting started or halfway through the day. But what we're going to do is talk about baseball again, once again today. Also talk a little NFL because a lot of rookie coaches out there this season. And want to take a close look at some of them and kind of give you some thoughts and ideas and some analytics on how the rookie coaches do as far as season totals work out. So if just working on various projects for your NFL season coming up, whether it's looking at the futures as far as game totals are concerned or anything of that nature, this will be of some great help to you in that respect. Anyway, we also are going to take a look at three baseball games on tap for today, and it's going to be the Astros against the A's, Miami against Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh against Atlanta. Those are the three games that are on the agenda for today. We're going to take a closer look at the line movement in those games, and as well, we're also going to see in which direction the pros are going as well. So let's get started with what happened yesterday as far as the major sports are concerned and betting in those situations. Talking about baseball, another big event, although some point in time real soon may not be such a big event anymore. The New York Yankees, Corey Kluber, threw the sixth no-hitter of the season for the Yankees. The Yankees were a minus 170 on the money line, and they beat the Rangers 2-0. In case you're interested, to give you an idea as to how many, what's the most no-hitters ever pitched in any one season, you have to go way back in the old days, back to 1884. That season, there were 8 no-hitters pitched at that point in time. And then from 1990 to 91, which is considered the modern era of baseball, okay, you had 4 teams that come out winning, okay, and the years were 1990 and 91, 2012, and 2015. Those 4 years, there were no hitters in there, and they were 7 no hitters and 6 no hitters in some of those years as well. So we're at number 6 right now, and in order to get by the total, which is 8, okay, we're going to be 2 games away. 2 games will tie it. The third one will definitely put us over. And also, just for your own information, Nolan Ryan won it 7 times. 7 no-hitters, Nolan Ryan, in baseball, not only with the Yankees, but of course with the Houston Astros as well. So that's the story as far as the no-hitters are concerned. Meanwhile, the favorites went 9-5. The Rays and Orioles closing as a pick'em in most places. The favorites still lead straight up, but they're at 55.1% so far. The unders went 8-6-1 with a push with the Tigers and the Mariners. Their total was 8 for the game. The lead, and of course, right now, the unders still lead, and they're at 50.6%. Meanwhile, in the NBA, the Lakers rallied to beat the Warriors 103-100 in that play-in tournament, so they clinched the number 7 seed out in the Western Conference. Even though the Lakers did win, they were 6-point favorites in that game, and they definitely did not cover. And the total stayed under the 217 points that were out there at most of the houses out there as far as the sports books were concerned. The Grizzlies, a 4.5-point favorite, beat the Spurs 100-96, but they didn't cover either and stayed on the under there as well at 224. Now, the favorites, both at home, went 2-0 straight up yesterday, but the dogs, we just gave you the scores, were the actual winners, 2-0 against the spread. The favorites are 4-0 straight up in play in the tournament, but they're 2-2 against the spread. The unders are 2-0 to take a 3-1 lead, and the Warriors host the Grizzlies on Friday for the number 8 seed and the right to face the number 1 seeded Jazz as well. The Lakers face number 2 seed the Suns, the Phoenix Suns as well. So that's the story with the NBA. Meanwhile, the National Hockey League, the favorites, they went 3-1 with the lone upset by the Jets. The Jets were a plus 140 against the Oilers. The Bruins were a minus 170 against the Capitals. The Hurricanes were a minus 195 against the Predators. And the Avalanche, a minus 350 against the Blues. All these teams did win. The favorites lead now 9-4 with one pick'em. The home teams are 3-1, and they now lead 8-6. The unders were 3-1, and that extended their lead to 9-5. Now, also, in the regular season finale, finally, it's all over. The Flames, a minus 190 on the money line. They beat the Canucks 6-2, and the number went over 6. Obviously, 6-2 is 8. The unders finished the regular season at 50.5%. The first period went over, but the first period unders were still in the lead at 440-426, which is almost at 51%. So taking a quick look at the favorites, like I said, they went 3-1 straight up in the Stanley Cup playoffs on Tuesday, and that improved to 10-4, which is 71% so far this postseason. Playoff favorites with a line move in their favor. If you're looking to bet some hockey, playoff favorites with a line move in their favor are now 8-2 or at 80% so far. So that's the story on stuff that happened yesterday as far as baseball, basketball, and hockey is concerned. And of course, we're going to take our first break. And if you're new to the show, we take 3 breaks within the show. Each one is of 1 minute duration, and that's how we kind of handle that situation. So let's take a break, and when we do come back, we're going to take a look at the 3 games on tap for tonight, check their money line movement, their line movement, and of course, we're going to check and see which direction the pros are going as well. So just a reminder, we'll be back into the zone right after this. And welcome back. Welcome back to the Sports Wagering Zone. I'm Chris Pardo. Thank you very much for listening. Coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. And forgot to mention it yesterday, but so I want to get it over with early before I forget again. We're still working on getting that newsletter put together, trying to figure out what to put into it. There's going to be a lot of work involved in getting these things together. First thing we definitely want to give you an update as far as whatever the line movement is early in the morning. So you'll have those numbers emailed to you in case you're betting an early afternoon game. We'll also give you, when the football season starts, NFL and college, the college basketball games, whatever the lines are, and the early line movement in those games, you're going to get them early enough so that if you want to get in there sooner, you'll have an idea in which direction to go. And of course, we're also going to put together statistical data that we round up. We've got tons of it, to be perfectly honest, and we don't talk too much about it on the air because there's so much involved in talking about it that you'll listen to it and you'll kind of get the idea of what it is, and then you know by the time you listen for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, by that time you're saying enough of that already. Meanwhile, if you do have it on paper, or as if you have it in your, not necessarily on paper, but you're going to have it in your email, you'll have it stored in your email, you have a file set up, and when situations come up, you can say, oh yeah, I remember him saying something about dogs that are divisional dogs or dogs that are on the road. What's the story on those? You can always go refer to that, kind of help you in making your decisions. That's the kind of help the people that do like to do these things on their own. Again, we said yesterday, we go in 3 different directions, kind of give you information if you want to do it on your own, because we have our little method or system with following the pros and which direction they go. We'll tell you about that as well. And of course, there is a underdog system as well that once the NFL comes into play, we'll be talking about at great length. So either way you want to do it, we're going to have that information for you. And that's what the show is all about. Try to show you different ways that you can approach betting, and whichever way you feel comfortable with, that's the way to do it, okay? So to get a hold of us, just say yes, or you don't have to say no, because if you don't call us, we know. So if you are interested, just send us an email. Send it to thesportswageringzone@gmail.com. That's thesportswageringzone@gmail.com. Nothing glorious, whatever. Just say, yes, I'm interested. We'll kind of file your email away and get in touch with you if we do it at all, okay? Because we want to make sure that we have enough people that are participating in it to make it worthwhile. So kind of give you an idea on that as well. So that's the story there. In the meantime, let's take a look and see how the money is flowing in 3 games coming up today in Major League Baseball. To start off with, around 3:30 in the afternoon. And after, that's Eastern time, of course, a few hours from now, the Houston Astros, 25-18, going out to Oakland, play the Athletics, who are 26-18. Now, after dropping their opener to the Athletics 6-5, the Astros bounced back with a big 8-1 win on Tuesday, cruising as -115 road favorites. Now, in this afternoon's rematch, Houston gives the ball to their righty, Luis Garcia. He's 1-3 with a 3.34 ERA, and Oakland goes to lefty Cole Irvin, who's 3-4 with a 3.02 ERA. Now, the line opened with Houston a short -110 road favorite, and Oakland opened as an even money at +100 on the money line as a home dog. Now, the public kind of sees 2 good teams. I mean, the records actually show that they're very close, very similar. And they kind of look at them as maybe as a pick-em in this particular game. So they don't know who to back, who to go to with. However, as usual, we've seen Houston creep up from -110 to -115 on the money line. What this means is that the pro money is leaning on the Astros coming off of a win. The Astros have mashed against the lefties in recent years, going 64% against lefties, going as far back as 2018. Houston is going to be hitting the ball. They're on the big batting team, of course. The Astros are hitting 268, which is the number one team in baseball as far as batting averages are concerned. The Athletics are at 224. They're ranked 26th. So we could also be looking at another high scoring game here as well. The total started out at 8.5, with the over being juiced up to minus 115. Now, the wind is now blowing out to right center. 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's what they're projecting. Houston has been a top over team this season. They're 25-16. The over is 2-0 in this series so far. And over the season, between these two teams, the over is 7-2. So as far as the pros are concerned, they like the Astros in this game, and they looks like they're leaning to the over as well. Meanwhile, at 7 o'clock this evening, you got the Miami Marlins, 19-23, playing against the Philadelphia Phillies, who are 22-21, just a skosh over 500. Now, these are two National League East teams. They split the first two games of the division series. The Phillies win the first game 8-3. They were minus 175 home favorites. The Marlins came back yesterday with a 3-1 win, and they were plus 110 road dogs in that game. But in today's afternoon rubber game, the Marlins start their ace, Sandy Alcantara. He's 1-3 with a 4.06 ERA. And the Phillies come back with their righty, Vince Velasquez, who's 1-0 so far this season, with a 3.68 ERA. Now, as we look at the line, it opened with Philadelphia listed as a slight minus 120 home favorite, and Miami opened as a plus 110 road dog. Now, the public is all over the Phillies at home. They're laying that short price. However, despite all this lopsided betting, we've seen Philadelphia drop down from being a minus 120 to a minus 115 on the money line. So what this means is the pro money is leaning on the Marlins at plus money, bringing it down from plus 110 down to plus 105 on the money line. Miami has value because they're a dog off of a win. They're a divisional dog, and they're what we call a sweet spot dog, which is plus 140 or less on the money line. We could also be looking at a really high-scoring game here as well. The total opened at 7.5 and quickly got bet up to 8. The forecast calls for temperatures in the mid-70s and a 5 to 10 mile per hour wind blowing out to left center in Philadelphia. So those are the first two games on tap. Houston against Oakland. The pros are on the Astros. Miami against Philadelphia. The pros are on Miami. We're going to take our second break, and when we come back, we're going to look at the 7:30 game between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Atlanta Braves. They're next online. So that's the story. That'll be the third game for today. Kind of give you an idea as to which direction the money is flowing in that game as well. So let's take that second break, get it out of the way. And like we said, we take 3 breaks on the show. Each one is about a minute duration, maybe a minute and a half, minute and 20 seconds or something of that nature. But in the meantime, if that's the case, we'll be back right after this. And welcome back. Welcome back to the Sports Wagering Zone. I'm Chris Pardo, right here in Charlotte, North Carolina, coming to you live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. Also on most of your major podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Just about anywhere you go, you can find the Sports Wagering Zone. So thank you very much for listening. In the meantime, just to recap the first two games we talked about, in case you happen to come in just a little late, the Houston Astros against the Oakland Athletics. That's around 3:30 this afternoon, Eastern time, of course. And the pros in this particular situation like the Astros in this game, and they also like the over in that game as well. Meanwhile, the second game, Miami against the Philadelphia Phillies. The pros in that game are on the Miami Marlins and on the over on this one as well. Winds are blowing out at these two locations, and whenever you have the winds blowing out at around 10 miles an hour or more, there's a good chance there's going to be a lot of balls going out of the stadium. Of course, they do have to hit the ball first, and the way the pitchers have been pitching so far this season, anything can happen. You got 6 no-hitters so far this season. Like I said earlier, the total is 8. 8 is the most they've ever had in a season. We're getting very close to that number as we speak. So meanwhile, the final game on tap around 7:15, 7:20 this evening, the Pittsburgh Pirates against the Atlanta Braves. Pirates are 17-25. The Braves are 20-23 so far this season. Now, both of these teams, they've been struggling lately. The Pirates have lost 3 straight games. They're now 5-14 over their last 19 games. 5-14. Now, Atlanta, they just dropped 2 of their 3 games to the Mets at home and are now just 3-6 over the last 9 games. 3-6 over the last 9 games. So in tonight's series opener, the Pirates send out their righty, Will Crowe, who's 0-2 so far this season, with a 4.35 ERA. And the Braves come back with their lefty, Drew Smyly, who's 2-2 with a 5.23 ERA. Now, as we look at the line on this game, it opened with Atlanta, a heavy -185 home favorite as an opening, and the Pittsburgh Pirates are a +170 as a road dog. Now, in this particular situation, the pros are not scared off by that big number, and they're also laying the chalk with the Braves as well. And by doing that, they pushed Atlanta up to -190, and I've even seen it go to 195 at some of the houses, and it may even go as far as 200 before it's game time tonight. The favorites that are a -190 or more on the money line, coming off of the win, are 73% so far this season. The total in this game is 8.5. They got the over juiced up to -115, which means over liability in this game too. The Pirates are just 1-5 against lefties this season. So if you like the Braves in this game, and the pros seem to like it a lot, okay, the whole thing is this. You're going to have to lay some wood if you want to bet this game and bet on the Braves. But of course, by knowing what the line is down, if you do like the Braves, okay, you can get in at this lower price, maybe 190 at some such situations, again, depending where you are, maybe 195, because if you hold out too much longer, it may go to 200 as well. But anyway, right now, we're looking at the Braves, very heavy juice, and also the very heavy load you have to put down if you want to bet on this game. Lay in 200 to win 100, let's say. In the meantime, once again, the 3 games on tap for today. The Astros, the afternoon game against the Athletics. Pros are on the Astros and on the over in this game. Miami against the Phillies. The pros are on the Marlins and the over in that game. and Pittsburgh against Atlanta. Very heavy on the Atlanta Braves. You're going to have to lay a lot of wood if you like to bet this game, and the totals are on the over on this game as well. So those are the three games on tap for today and tonight. And of course, want to try to bring you up to date a little bit as to how this little method, system, whatever you want to call it, has been working. We try to give you an update every day so you have an idea of how it's going. And if, maybe you want to jump in at some point in time or just listen to it, that's totally up to you as to what you want to do. So yesterday we had three plays. San Francisco against Cincinnati, and that was a winner in our favor. We had Boston against the Blue Jays. That was a winner. And the Detroit-Seattle game, we had Seattle. Detroit pulled that game out, so that was a loser. So yesterday, we had 2 wins and 1 loss. The day before, we had 1 win and 2 losses. Kind of give you an idea how these things bounce around. The day before that, we had 3 winners, and no losers. So right now, to give you an idea, the total, we've had 133 plays in this season. Like I said, we started doing it April 1st, first game of the season. 133 plays, 74 winners, 58 losers. That is 55.6%. 55.6%. Not a bad piece of change if you were following it all year long, if you were betting on it all year long. 3 games a night, sometimes only 2 games, but generally that's what's been happening so far this season. Will it continue on? Who knows? Time will only tell. But right now, if you would have started in the beginning, you could take a little heat, a little loss coming down the next few weeks if it should happen, because you're up in that 55, 56% range, which is generally where most of the pros are on the schedule as far as the money that they lay out. But of course, they're not laying out $50 or $100, they're laying out $5,000 and $10,000. So that's why they're making more money, making a living out of it, as opposed to just betting $100 and you're ahead. You may be ahead a couple of $100 or maybe $1,000 by this point. Again, depending on when you got in. But that's the story there. Give you the totals on it. Once again, we always leave it up to you to decide what it is that you want to do. So let's take our final break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the rookies, the rookie coaches in the NFL, trying to see what effect they may have. Because this way, if you're working on your futures bets, if you're working on your game total bets, things of that nature, this should be of some help to you as well. So let's take our final break, and we'll be back right after this. And welcome back. Welcome back to the Sports Wagering Zone. I'm Chris Pardo. We're coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina, right here on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. So we took a look at the 3 games on tap for tonight. We'll review them once again before the show's over in case you tuned in a little late or you didn't hear it totally when you were listening to it earlier. But in the meantime, let's take a look at these rookie NFL coaches. Let's see, are they really worth maybe betting on them? Or if they're in a situation, you're going to consider them as far as your handicapping is concerned? Because if you are, there's always a ton of great storylines that come out after each season once it comes to an end. And as a bettor, you have to do your best to keep up with all the changes that are going on. You kind of understand that right now. For 2021, the new season coming up, one of the biggest stories is going to be around the rookie head coaches who are going to be walking up and down on the sidelines of these games. There are 6 rookie coaches in all this season. You got Robert Saleh from the Jets, David Culley with the Texans, Urban Meyer, of course, with the Jaguars, Brandon Staley with the Chargers, Arthur Smith with the Falcons, and finally Nick Sirianni with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, that doesn't include the Lions' Dan Campbell, who was an interim coach of the Dolphins for 12 games last season. So 6 first-time coaches, ties for the highest number in any year in the past 10 years. Okay, the highest number in the past 10 years. So here are a few of the rookie coaching systems to keep an eye on. Listen to this. As of the 34 rookie head coaches who have teams that finished under 500 the past season, 26 led their teams to better records the next season. Okay? So of the 34 rookie head coaches over the past few years who got teams, and they got teams that were under 500 the year before, 26 of them led their teams to better records into the new season. Now, with all 6 of this year's new hires taking over teams that were 7-9 or even worse, that means that 4 or 5 of the teams figure to improve over last season. Now, if the number is 4, my guesses would be Atlanta. I think Jacksonville has a real good shot. The Jets and possibly the Eagles. Okay. Now, of the 8 rookie head coaches over the past 10 years who got teams that scored at least 23.5 points per game the previous season, the team of only 1 produced a worse record the next season. Let me go over that again. Okay, teams that scored less than 23.5 points per game in the season before, they only produced a worse record of only 1 team produced a worse record in the next season. The others improved by about 2.5 wins. 2.5 wins more the new season as opposed to the old season. Now, the new coaches taking over competent 2020 offenses are Smith, Culley, and Staley. Now, there have been a lot of room to grow when a new head coach takes over a team that scored fewer than 18 points per game the season before. There have been immediate results for this lucky group of coaches. 9 of the 10 teams that fit into this category over the past 10 years have improved by an average of almost 5 wins per season. The coaches looking to continue this trend is Saleh with the Jets. He's the one that looks like he's the most logical one to fit into that category. Now, point differential has also proved to be a good indicator of the potential improvement, as the last 10 rookie coaches to inherit teams that were outscored by 8.5 or more points per game. That brought instant change to their teams. All 10 of these coaches improved their franchise's win total the first season that they coached by an average of almost 5 wins. Now, for 2021, we have 2 coaches that fit into this category, Saleh and Urban Meyer with Jacksonville. Now, as far as in-season game-by-game betting opportunities, you should understand that rookie head coaches have produced a regular season record of 302 to 353 on the loss side straight up, but 322 to 313 against the spread. Over the past 10 years, they didn't do as well straight up, but they did very well against the spread. In other words, they lose more than they win on the scoreboard, but they win more than they lose at the window. So here are some other things to consider regarding betting on against rookie head coaches throughout the NFL season. Remember, rookie head coaches have been far more proficient when they cover point spreads on the road over the past 10 years. And here's a quick breakdown. At home, they're 47.7% against the spread. Road games, they're at 53.5%. Okay, so it seems that the odds makers, they tend to shade the lines against these rookie coaches once they're on the road. They wrongly assume that the pressure and the difficulty of the road environment is going to affect how well they do. Now, as favorites, 6 points or more, going as far back as 2011, rookie head coaches are 76.3% outright, but they've gone just 33 and 46, which is 41, almost 42% against the spread. So here again, rookie head coaches do better as favorites of 6 points or more. They win more outright, but they don't cover as often. They win almost 76% of the time straight up, but they only cover almost 42% of the time. Now, finally, rookie head coaches also have struggled in a large underdog role, going 19.2% straight up, but 48.8% when they're catching 6 points or more. So if they 6 points or more as a dog, going as far back as 2011, they're at almost 49% as far as wins are concerned. So there's a whole bunch of information for you. Again, you probably absorb part of it. You can't understand all of it. I mean, you understand it, but try to absorb what those numbers are. That's where, like I said earlier, if we do the newsletter, this is the type of information that will be in there for you to kind of go back on, okay? So that when the season starts out, you think back and say, yeah, Chris was talking something about rookie coaches and the games during the season. Let me take a look at that. So you go into your file, you find it, you take a look, and it might be of some benefit to you if you're choosing on your own, okay? That's the important thing to think about. Now, if you're just going to follow the pros like we did last season, that's a different story. Just don't even be concerned about it at all. Just go along with that particular moment. But if you're interested in handling things on your own, that is the way to do it. So if you're interested, by all means, send us an email. Send it to thesportswageringzone@gmail.com and just say, yes, I'm interested in participating in the newsletter when it comes out, and we'll see how we'll go from that point on, okay? Anyway, let's go back once again and take a look at the 3 games that we talked about as far as betting is concerned. The Astros against the A's. The pros in that particular game are on the Houston Astros and on the over as far as run totals go. Miami against Philadelphia, the pros are on Miami in that game and on the over as well. And finally, Pittsburgh against Atlanta, the pros are on Atlanta. The last time we looked at the money line, it's at minus 195. It may even go up into the 200 area. So you're going to have to lay a lot of wood if you happen to like betting Atlanta in that game this evening. Anyway, that's the story so far today. I want to thank you very much for listening. And, of course, we'll be back again tomorrow, Friday. We'll be here at 12 noon Eastern Time. Saturdays and Sundays, we're here at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Saturdays and Sundays, 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, 12 noon. So like I said before, thank you very much for listening. We certainly appreciate you listening to the show. Also, if you're going to be betting today, I hope you have a very successful day, whether you're betting on baseball, hockey, basketball, whatever it is that you're betting on. We hope that you're very successful. If you're not, then I hope you have a very pleasant day. Enjoy the day. Go over some of your stats. start preparing for that NFL season, which will, before you know it, it'll be starting up again. So until tomorrow at 12 noon, I'm Chris Pardo. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back again at 12 noon right here on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as podcasting over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, you name it, we're there for you. So until tomorrow at 12 noon, have a very pleasant day. And if you're betting, I hope you have a profitable day as well. Goodbye, everybody.